The sugar is still bubbling. Thick, amber, 320 degrees. When Maria presses a ladle to Edmund Whitmore's throat, the sound he makes isn't quite human. Somewhere between a scream and a hiss, like meat hitting a hot skillet. His hands fly to his face, but the sugar sticks. Keeps burning. Amber liquid turning flesh red, then white, then black. But Maria's hand doesn't shake. Not after 10 years. Not after what he did to her daughter. Stop. Before we understand this moment, before we watch a woman burn her master alive in a kitchen that smells like caramel and death, you need to see what happened 10 years ago. Because Maria didn't just wake up one morning and decide to kill Edmund Whitmore. This was patient, calculated, surgical, and it started with a little girl who loved to sing. This is one of the most disturbing and satisfying revenge stories in American history, and almost got erased completely from a record. Hit that subscribe button right now, because YouTube's algorithm buries stories like this. Stories about enslaved people who fought back. Stories that make us uncomfortable. Let's make sure Maria's story doesn't disappear. Because what she did in that kitchen, with nothing but sugar, patience, and 10 years of cold rage, is something they'll never teach you in school. 1809, St. Augustine, Spanish Florida. The Whitmore plantation sits on the western edge of town, where land meets swamp. Sugar cane fields stretch south like green fingers reaching toward the coast. But our story doesn't happen in the main house. It happens in the kitchen. 40 feet from the main building, brick and timber. A separate structure because fire is always a risk when you're cooking for 30 people. 3 meals a day, in August heat that makes the air feel like wet wool against your face. This is Maria's kingdom. Listen to me. Maria isn't just a cook. She's an artist. Charleston Society women request her pralines by name. The Whitmore woman, they call her, because enslaved people don't get credit even when they're famous. She can tell sugar temperature by sound alone, the way the bubbles change pitch when it hits 300 degrees. Can judge caramel color in darkness by the way it catches lamplight. She's 28, Caribbean born, Barbados, though she barely remembers it. Sold to the Whitmores when she was 12. 16 years learning every recipe, every technique, every secret of the kitchen that keeps this plantation running. She speaks 3 languages, English, Spanish, and a Creole patois. She uses only in her head, only in prayers Edmund Whitmore will never hear. She knows chemistry better than most university men, though of course, she can't say that. Edmund thinks she's just good with sweets. He has no idea he's given weapons expert control of boiling sugar, sharp knives, and fire. The kitchen smells like everything at once. Molasses thick in the air, sweet enough to gag. Copper pots reflecting firelight, like small suns. The brick oven radiating heat that makes your lungs feel like wet fabric trying to dry. And sugar, always sugar. Barrels of it. Raw cane sugar, muscovado. Refined white sugar for the master's tea. Maria processes 50 pounds of it every week. Boiling it, refining it, turning it into pralines and preserves and candied fruits that make the Whitmores a fortune. Right now, summer 1809, Maria is teaching her daughter how to make caramel. Her name is Lucia, 8 years old, gap between her front teeth, hair in 2 tight braids that Maria reweaves every morning before the roosters start. Lucia loves the kitchen the way some children love fairy tales. Everything is magic to her. She sings while she works. Old songs. Songs Maria's mother taught her. Songs that have no words, just melody. The kind of music that predates slavery, predates paper, predates everything except human breath and human sorrow. Summer 1809, July 23rd. The day everything changes starts like any other day. Lucia is helping Maria prepare the afternoon tea service. English tradition, even here in Spanish Florida. There are rules, specific cups for specific people. The blue and white Chinese porcelain for Edmund. Lucia is carrying Edmund's cup. She's humming, not paying attention. Her foot catches on a warped floorboard. The cup slips, falls, shatters on the brick floor in 17 pieces. The sound, porcelain on brick, seems to last 10 seconds, 10 hours, forever. Everyone in the kitchen freezes. Because they all know expensive things breaking means someone bleeds. Maria's heart stops. Because that cup came from Edmund's grandmother, brought over from England in 1760. It's worth more than Maria, more than Lucia, more than both of them combined. Maria takes the blame. Immediately, confesses to Edmund before he can ask. He listens calmly, doesn't interrupt. When she's done, he nods slowly. I see. That's unfortunate. Maria, That cup was very dear to me. He doesn't yell, doesn't punish her, doesn't threaten. He smiles. That's what she'll remember most later. The smile. 3 days pass. Then, on July 26th, a trader comes through. Robert Finch, Georgia man, specializes in difficult acquisitions. He's got a wagon. 6 people already chained in the back, headed to the deep south. Edmund calls for Maria. Maria, Mr. Finch here is interested in purchasing one of our people. I've decided to sell Lucia. The world stops. Everything, sound, light breath, just stops. 2 overseers grab Maria, hold her back, because she's screaming now, trying to get to the wagon where they're loading her daughter. Lucia is crying, reaching back, calling Mama, 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 in a voice that'll echo in Maria's skull for the rest of her life. The wagon rolls forward, oyster shell road crunching under the wheels like small bones breaking. And then, God help her, Lucia starts singing their song, the one with no words. The voice gets quieter, softer, fading down the road like smoke dispersing. Edmund watches from the veranda, sipping lemonade Maria made that morning. When she finally stops screaming, he says, "Take her back to the kitchen. We have dinner guests tonight." Life goes on. That night, something breaks inside Maria. Or maybe something doesn't break. Maybe something hardens. Like sugar syrup left too long on the fire, turning from liquid to solid, from soft to glass, sharp enough to cut. Edmund destroyed her daughter's life to teach Maria a lesson about a teacup. So Maria decides she'll teach Edmund a lesson about consequences. But not today, not tomorrow. Because revenge, real revenge, isn't hot. It's cold, patient, refined over time, like sugar boiled down to its essence. And Maria has time. She has 10 years. But Maria's made a mistake. One she won't discover until it's too late. Because while she's been watching Edmund for 8 years, learning his routines, his habits, his weaknesses, someone's been watching her. Thomas Whitmore, Edmund's eldest son. And Thomas? Thomas doesn't believe in coincidences. 3 months from now, when Edmund dies, Thomas is going to ask one very simple question. Why did Maria send the other kitchen workers home early that night? But we're getting ahead of ourselves. First, the fire. You need to understand something about sugar. Because if you're going to understand how Maria kills Edmund Whitmore, you need to understand the science. Table sugar, the white stuff you put in your coffee that's refined, processed. In 1809, most sugar wasn't like that. It was raw, brown, Muscovado sugar, still full of molasses, sticky crystalline. Maria knows sugar better than anyone on the plantation. She knows sugar melts at 366 degrees Fahrenheit. She knows that between 320 to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, it becomes liquid again, thick, amber, viscous. She knows that at that temperature, it's hotter than cooking oil. And she knows it sticks to skin. Can't be wiped off. Can't be washed off quickly enough. Just keeps burning. Cooking flesh from the outside in. Spanish Florida in 1809 is unique. It's not technically part of the United States yet. That won't happen until 1821. It's a weird borderland. Spanish colonial rule, American settlers, Seminole territory, escaped slaves finding refuge among indigenous tribes. It's chaos, and chaos creates opportunities. 50 pounds a week flows through Maria's kitchen. Nobody thinks twice about her having access to massive quantities of it, or about her spending hours boiling it, testing temperatures, practicing. The 10-year plan begins August 1st, 1809, 5 days after Lucia is sold. Maria makes a decision. She will not cry anymore. Not in public. Not where anyone can see. She performs grief the way the Whitmores expect. Quiet, subdued, obedient, but privately, in her head, in her heart. She stops grieving and starts calculating. For 10 years, Maria becomes a ghost. Every morning, she notes what time Edmund takes his coffee, what he eats, where he walks. She's mapping his life like a general maps enemy territory. Edmund rises at 5:30 a.m., takes coffee at 6 a.m. sharp, breakfast at 6:30 a.m., study from 8 to 10 a.m., dinner at 7 p.m., evening on the veranda, 7:30 to 9 p.m., nightcap at 9:30 p.m., warm milk with honey, in bed by 10 p.m. Every single day. Edmund Whitmore is a creature of habit, and habits, Maria realizes, are vulnerabilities. She never asks about Lucia. Not once. This is strategic. Because if she's constantly asking, he'll know she's not broken. But if she never mentions Lucia again, he'll think he won. He stops watching her so closely. That's the opening she needs. 1812. The War of 1812 spills into Spanish Florida. Supply chains collapse. Sugar prices skyrocket. Basic goods become scarce. The Whitmore plantation struggles. But Maria adapts. She learns to substitute ingredients. Preserves food using techniques she learned in Barbados. Keeps the household running when other plantations are falling apart. Edmund begins to rely on her completely. She makes herself indispensable. And indispensable people get privileges. 1814. Caroline Whitmore falls ill. Yellow fever. Maria nurses her. She could let Caroline die. Easily. But she doesn't. Because this isn't about Caroline. This is about Edmund. So Maria saves Caroline's life. And when Caroline recovers, she tells Edmund, "That woman is a saint. We're blessed to have her." Edmund nods. Yes, Maria is quite valuable. Maria has never been more trusted or more dangerous. And all the while, every single Saturday for 4 years, Maria makes pralines. It becomes a tradition. Testing recipes. Maria tells the other kitchen workers, but really, she's learning the science of murder. She experiments with temperatures. Watches how sugar behaves at 300 degrees versus 320 versus 340. She burns herself. Small test burns on her forearm, hidden under her sleeves. Learning exactly how much pain she's about to cause. She's becoming an expert in a very specific type of weapon, and nobody notices because it just looks like a woman making candy. But Maria isn't just planning Edmund's death. She's planning her escape. Florida territory is complicated. Maria starts learning the geography. When traders come through, she listens. She's collecting intelligence, building a map in her head. She also starts stealing, small amounts, a few coins from Edmund's pocket when she's washing his clothes. Over 4 years, she accumulates $17 in coins, 2 knives, flint and steel, salt, dried meat, hardtack. She's building an escape kit. And most importantly, she's learning to forge Edmund's signature. After 2 years, she can replicate it perfectly. She writes herself a letter. The bearer of this letter, Maria, is a freed woman. She is traveling to Pensacola to care for her ailing sister. All persons are asked to give her free passage. Signed, Edmund Whitmore, August 10th, 1819. She dates it 4 days before she plans to kill him. This is genius. If she's caught, she can show papers dated before Edmund's death. Nobody will think she forged a letter predicting his murder. Stop right here and hit that like button if you think Maria's plan is actually going to work. Because here's the thing, most escape attempts failed. Most revenge plots got people killed. The odds are completely against her. Drop a comment right now. How would you escape from Spanish Florida in 1819? August 1819. 10 years exactly since Lucille was sold. Edmund makes a mistake. A small one. Thomas is gone. Rode to St. Augustine 3 days ago. Won't be back until next week. Caroline is visiting her sister in Charleston. The house slaves had the evening off. It's Thursday night. Edmund will be alone. Just him and Maria. And in her kitchen, 3 copper pots are heating. 20 pounds of sugar dissolving into liquid amber. Maria has been waiting 3,652 days for this. Tonight, finally, she collects the debt. August 14th, 1819. Thursday. The air is thick enough to drink. Hurricane season in North Florida. Heat that makes your clothes stick to your skin. Cicadas screaming. Storm coming. Everyone can feel it. Edmund Whitmore has exactly 3 hours to live. He doesn't know it yet. 6 p.m. Evening preparation. Maria starts her evening work the same way she always does. 3 copper pots, each large enough to hold a gallon of liquid. She adds sugar, raw muscovado, still sticky with molasses, and just enough water to dissolve it. Lights the fire beneath. The other kitchen workers left an hour ago. Maria sent them away early. Storm's coming, she said. They didn't question it. Maria often works late. Thomas is in St. Augustine. Caroline is in Charleston. The house is empty except for Edmund. Maria stirs the sugar, watches it dissolve. Her hands are steady. She's been imagining this moment for 10 years. The smell of caramelizing sugar begins to fill the kitchen. Sweet, almost sickly sweet, like dessert and decay mixed together. Maria adds butter to each pot. She's making pralines. Edmund's favorite. That's her cover story. But she's heating the sugar far beyond praline temperature. She needs it at 320 degrees minimum. That's the point where sugar becomes a weapon. She doesn't have a thermometer. She doesn't need one. After 10 years of Saturday experiments, she knows sugar by sight and smell and sound. She dips a wooden spoon into the first pot, lets a drop fall onto the stone floor. It sizzles, hardens almost instantly into a glass-like bead. Perfect 0.8:45 p.m. The trap. Maria is stirring the third pot when Edmund walks in. She doesn't turn around, just keeps stirring. Maria, sir. She glances back, acts surprised. Can I help you with something? Edmund is drunk, not falling down drunk, but drunk enough that his movements are loose. He's holding an empty whiskey glass. This wasn't part of Maria's plan, but she adapts. Smells good in here, Edmund says. What are you making? Praline, sir, for your breakfast tomorrow. Edmund steps further into the kitchen. The door closes behind him. The geography is important. One door behind Edmund. One window, high and small. Sugar barrels against the back wall. Maria's pots on the brick oven. Center of the room. Edmund is between Maria and the exit. I want to inspect the sugar stores, Edmund says. Price has gone up again. Maria leads him toward the back wall. Edmund follows. He's wobbling slightly. Drunk enough to be careless. Sober enough to be dangerous. They reach the barrels. Edmund leans over the first one. Maria is 3 feet behind him now. Between him and the oven. Between him and the door. Her heartbeat is steady. Calm. Cold. She's been waiting 3,652 days for this. Maria. Edmund doesn't turn around. Just speaks of the barrels. You ever think about that girl of yours? What was her name? Maria's hands curl into fists. She forces him to relax. Lucia, sir. Right. Lucia. He laughs. Soft. Cool. Traded her for a good price. Helped pay for this very sugar we're looking at. Everything comes full circle, doesn't it? That's when Maria knows. He remembers. He's reminding her. Because cruelty isn't just the act. It's the remembering. Edmund turns around. Looks at Maria. Smiles that same smile from 10 years ago. She was a pretty little thing. Hope whoever bought her is treating her well. The moment. Let me show you exactly how a woman kills a man with candy. Because what Maria does next, the precision, the timing, it's surgical. Watch. Maria doesn't think. The ladle is in her hand before Edmund finishes his sentence. She turns. 3 steps back to the oven. Grabs the largest ladle, copper, long-handled, deep bowl. Dips it into the hottest pot. Sugar the color of dark honey. Bubbling. Temperature somewhere north of 320 degrees. Edmund sees her. Starts to speak. Where are you? Maria throws. Not pours. Throws. The sugar leaves the ladle in a viscous arc. It catches firelight. Almost beautiful. Then it hits his face. The scream isn't immediate. There's a half second of confused silence. Like Edmund's brain can't process what just happened. Then, Jesus Christ, then the screaming starts. High. Continuous. The sound an animal makes when it's caught in a trap. His hands fly to his face. Fingernails clawing. But the sugar sticks. That's the thing about sugar at that temperature. It adheres like glue. Spreads across skin like hot wax. Keeps burning. Cooking flesh from the outside in. Edmund's skin is blistering. Peeling. The sweet smell of caramel mixing with something else now. Something worse. Charred meat. Maria doesn't stop. Can't stop. Won't stop. Second ladle. This one to the chest. The sugar burns through his shirt like it's tissue paper. Through the fabric. Through skin. You can hear it. The hiss of moisture evaporating. Of flesh cooking. Edmund staggers backward. Crashes into a sugar barrel. His fingernails claw at his own face. Trying desperately to get the sugar off. It doesn't come off. Third ladle. His hands. When he reaches for her in desperation. Fingers grasping. Pleading. Maria pours boiling sugar directly onto his palms. The skin blisters instantly. Bubbles rising and popping. The fingernails turn black. Edmund collapses. Knocks over a barrel. Raw sugar spills across the floor, mixing with his blood. The fluid leaking from the blisters covering his face. He's on his knees. Still alive. Still conscious. That's important. Maria needs him conscious. She sets down the ladle. Walks over to where Edmund is writhing on the floor. Kneels beside him. Close enough that he can see her through his one remaining eye. The other is sealed shut. Cooked like an egg white. You feel that? Maria's voice is quiet, calm, cold as January. That's sugar. The same sugar I've been practicing with every Saturday for 10 years. The same sugar that built this plantation. The same sugar you said my daughter paid for. Edmund tries to speak. His lips are gone. Just raw meat where his mouth used to be. A wet, gurgling sound comes out instead. 10 years ago, you sold my daughter to teach me a lesson about a teacup. Maria leans closer. Tonight, I'm collecting the debt. With interest. Edmund's hand reaches out, clawing at air, at her dress, at nothing. His fingers are cooked, blackened. The fingernails have fallen off. I want you to know something, Maria continues. Every praline I made for you, every Saturday, I was practicing. I burned myself. Small test burns. So I know exactly what I was doing to you tonight. Edmund's good eyes wide, terrified. He understands now. This wasn't random. This wasn't impulse. This was 10 years of patient, methodical planning. You remember what you said that day? Maria asks, you said life goes on. So I want you to think about that now. As you're dying, on this floor, in this kitchen, think about how your life is ending, while mine goes on. She stands. Edmund is still moving, twitching, his hands scrabble at the floor, fingers leaving wet trails in the spilled sugar. Maria doesn't watch him die. There's no satisfaction in it, no joy, just cold mathematics. A debt paid, a balance restored. She times it, counts every second, for minutes and 37 seconds. That's how long it takes Edmund Whitmore to die. Not enough. Not nearly enough for 10 years of grief. But it's what she has. The smell has changed. No longer sweet caramel. Now it's burned hair, cooked flesh, something animal and wrong. Maria moves quickly now. She tips over an oil lamp, carefully, deliberately, so it looks accidental. The oil spreads, catches fire. Flames leap up the wooden shelves. Within 2 minutes, the entire kitchen is ablaze. Maria bars the door from the outside, just a heavy sugar barrel rolled against it. Anyone looking later will think Edmund was trapped by accident. Tragic accident. These things happen in plantation kitchens. Maria runs to the main house, screams fire. Her performance is perfect. Terror, shock, desperation. The enslaved workers pour out of their quarters. Everyone grabs buckets. The bucket brigade is chaos. People shouting, running, smoke billowing into the night sky. And in that chaos, in that beautiful, perfect confusion, Maria does something no one notices. She walks away, not runs, walks, carrying a flour sack that doesn't contain flour. Stop right here. Leave a comment. Do you think Maria is actually going to make it out? Because in 1819, escaped slaves were hunted with dogs, with professional slave catchers. The odds were maybe 1 in 50. Drop a comment. What would your escape plan be? The fire burns for 3 hours. They find bones, charred, unrecognizable, but definitely human. Thomas Whitmore arrives the next morning. He does a head count. Maria is missing. But here's the thing. Thomas doesn't tell the truth. He walks through the burned kitchen, sees the bones, sees the barred door, sees something nobody else noticed. 3 copper pots, arranged in a triangle around where Edmund's body was found. Not random, arranged. Thomas stands in that burned kitchen for 20 minutes, thinking. Then he makes a decision. He's not reporting this as murder, because if he admits an enslaved woman killed his father, every plantation owner for 100 miles panics. Property values plummet. White families start looking at their cooks differently. So Thomas lies. Official story. Edmund Whitmore died tragically in a kitchen fire. Our cook Maria also perished in the blaze. He lists Maria as dead. And that lie, that face-saving lie, is what saves Maria's life. Because if she's officially dead, most people stop looking. But privately, Thomas hires 2 men, slave catchers, tells them, find a cook named Maria. I'll pay triple rate. But when you find her, don't bring her back. Just make sure she never talks about what happened in that kitchen. But while Thomas is writing that report, Maria is already 6 miles away, waist deep in swamp water, heading west, not north. And in her flour sack, she's carrying everything she needs to disappear, including a piece of paper signed by Edmund Whitmore himself, dated August 10th, 1819, 4 days before he died. granting her freedom. Here's what you need to understand about escaped slaves in 1819 Florida. Almost none of them made it. The ones who tried to run north got caught. Because everyone expected runners to go north. Dogs tracked them. Slave patrols watched the roads. Going north was obvious, predictable, suicidal. Maria doesn't go north. She goes west, into the swamp. 10:30 p.m., 30 minutes after the fire starts. While everyone is fighting the fire, Maria walks calmly to the edge of the property. No one stops her. She's carrying her flour sack, wearing her kitchen dress, dark fabric, already dirty. She looks like she's running an errand. At the property line, she stops, looks back once. The kitchen is fully engulfed, flames shooting 20 feet into the night sky. Somewhere in that fire, Edmund Whitmore is burning. Maria feels nothing, just cold, clear purpose. She turns west and disappears into the darkness. The first 6 hours, the swamp. San Marcos swamp starts half a mile from the Whitmore plantation. It's hell on earth. Cypress trees rising out of standing water. Mosquitoes and clouds so thick you breathe them. Snakes. Alligators with eyes that glow red in moonlight. Most people avoid it. That's exactly why Maria chose it. She wades in. The water is warm, murky, reaches her waist within 10 steps. The water will kill her scent. Dogs can't track through water. Maria has studied this route for 2 years. She follows natural ridges of slightly higher ground, moves slowly, carefully. A snake brushes against her leg. She freezes. It swims past. An alligator slides off a log 30 feet away. She keeps moving. The mosquitoes swarm her face, get in her ears, her nose, her mouth. But she doesn't stop. By dawn, she's made 6 miles. Her legs are screaming. Her feet are cut and bleeding. Her dress is ruined. But she's alive. And more importantly, she's untraceable. The trading post. Maria reaches San Miguel at noon the next day. It's not a town, just a trading post for buildings clustered around a clearing. Spanish-owned. The owner doesn't ask questions. It's neutral ground. Maria approaches carefully. She's changed, torn off the bottom of her dress, tied her head wrapped differently, washed the mud off. She doesn't look like a runaway. She looks like a free woman who's had a rough journey. The proprietor barely glances at her. Help you? I need supplies. Dried fish, cornmeal, shoes. Got coin. Maria pulls out $3 silver. He doesn't ask where she got them. Shoes are back there. While Maria is selecting deerskin moccasins, a Seminole woman enters. Mid-30s, strong build. She looks at Maria. Really looks. Sees the mosquito bites. Sees a torn dress. Sees a calculated wariness. The look of someone running from something. The woman says nothing. Just nods slightly. Maria nods back. 2 hours later, the Seminole woman approaches. Where you headed? Maria considers lying. Decides against it. West, Pensacola eventually. Long walk. I know. The woman is quiet for a moment. Then, you killed someone. It's not a question. Maria meets her eyes. Yes. White man. Yes. The woman smiles. Good. Follow me. Her name is Tlaco. Half Seminole, half Spanish. She lives in a village 15 miles west, mixed community of Seminoles and black refugees. Tlaco doesn't ask for details. She understands that Maria is running, that Maria killed someone, and that Maria needs to get as far from St. Augustine as possible. I'll take you to Miccosukee territory. Tlaco says, 3 days walk. After that, you're on your own. Why would you help me? Tlaco's smile fades. The Spanish took my mother, sold her to a plantation in Havana. I was 6, never saw her again. So when I see a black woman running west with blood under her fingernails, I help. The trail west. They travel at night, sleep in hidden camps during the day. Tlaco knows his territory. She knows which creeks have fresh water, which plants are edible, where to avoid patrols. Maria learns fast. How to walk without leaving tracks. How to master scent with wild onion and pine sap. On the 4th day, they pass American surveyors. Armed. Dangerous. Maria and Tlaco hide in a palmetto thicket. Absolutely still. The surveyors pass within 20 feet. Never see them. Day 4, the close call. They're following a creek bed when they hear dogs. Distant, but getting closer. Bloodhounds. And bloodhounds mean slave catchers. Tulaco grabs Maria's arm. Don't move. Don't breathe. They press into a palmetto thicket, thorns cutting skin. Maria's heart is hammering so hard she's certain they can hear it. The dogs get louder, closer. Maria can hear men's voices now. Whitmore Plantation is offering $50 for that cook. $50 for a woman? She must have done something real bad. The dogs are 30 feet away. 20. 10. Maria's heart is hammering so hard she's certain they can hear it. One dog stops, sniffs the air, looks directly at the thicket where they're hiding. Then Tulaco does something insane. She pulls a rabbit carcass from her bag, been carrying it for 2 days, rotting in the heat, throws it hard to the left. The dogs pivot, chase the scent. The men follow. Maria doesn't speak for 6 hours after. Can't, because she just learned something. Freedom is won by seconds, by inches, by one Seminole woman who thought to carry a rotting rabbit. On the 7th day, they reach the edge of Seminole territory. From here, Pensacola is 3 more days' walk. This is where I leave you. Tulaco says, thank you for everything. If you ever find your daughter, Maria's heart stops. How did you call out in your sleep? Her name, Lucia. Maria closes her eyes, nods. If you find her, Tulaco continues, you take her somewhere safe, somewhere they can never reach her again. Tulaco hands Maria a leather pouch. Inside, dried venison, a flint knife, and a shell necklace. For luck, you're gonna need it. Pensacola. Maria arrives in Pensacola on August 24th, 1819, 10 days after Edmund Whitmore's death. She's exhausted, half-starved, but she's alive, and she has her papers. Pensacola is chaos. Spanish authority is collapsing. Everyone knows Florida is about to be sold to the United States. The city is full of traders, sailors, refugees. Nobody pays attention to one more black woman. Maria goes to the harbor master's office, presents her papers, the letter supposedly signed by Edmund Whitmore, dated August 10th, granting her freedom. The Spanish clerk barely looks at it. You can read? Some, sir. Good. We need kitchen help at the Corsair Tavern. Owner's name is Reynaldo. Just like that. Maria has a job, as a free woman. She works at Corsair for 3 years. Cooks, keeps her head down. The owner doesn't care about American slavery laws. Doesn't ask questions. Maria rents a small room, saves every penny, changes her name to Mary, tells people she's from Barbados originally, freed by a wealthy family. Nobody questions it. Stop right here and share this video. Because Maria's story, this story of patience and revenge and impossible escape, is something they never taught us in school. They told us about the famous rebels, but they didn't tell us about the hundreds who fought back quietly, violently, methodically. Share this video. Let's make sure these stories don't get buried again. 1822, 3 years after Edmund Whitmore's death. Maria is working at the Corsair Tavern. A Quaker missionary comes in. She mentions she's been working at a textile mill in Mobile, teaching the workers to read. There's a young woman there, about 19 years old. She's learning so quickly. She sings while she works. Most beautiful voice. Maria's hand freezes. This young woman, does she have a name? Lucy, though she told me her mother used to call her Lucia. The world stops. Did she say what happened to her mother? So tragic. She said her mother was a cook on a plantation in Florida, perished in a fire years ago. She wears a scar on her left hand, shaped like a teacup. Maria doesn't sleep that night. Lucia is alive, in Mobile, 60 miles away. Alive 0.3 months later, the missionary passes through Pensacola again. Maria is waiting. The girl in Mobile. Lucy, is she still there? Oh no, dear. She left. Said her aunt in Pensacola sent for her. Her aunt? Yes. She seemed very happy about it. Said she hadn't seen her family in years. Maria's hands shake, because Maria has no sister. Never had one. But that forged letter, the one she used to escape, said she was traveling to Pensacola to care for her ailing sister. If someone told Lucia that her aunt was looking for her, if Lucia came to Pensacola, April 1823, Pensacola, Maria is working at the boarding house. It's late, almost midnight. Someone knocks. Maria opens the door. A young woman stands there, 19, 20, gap between her front teeth, scar on her left hand shaped like a teacup handle. The young woman looks at Maria's face, her eyes, her hands, and she says one word, Mama. Maria doesn't speak, can't, just pulls her daughter inside and holds her for the first time in 14 years. Lucia is crying. Maria isn't, because Maria doesn't cry anymore. Hasn't since the night she decided to kill Edmund Whitmore. But her hands won't stop shaking. "I thought you were dead," Lucia whispers. "They said you died in the fire." "I know. How did you?" "Later. I'll explain everything later. Right now," Maria pulls back, studies her daughter's face. "Right now, we need to leave. Tonight." "Leave where?" "Pensacola. Florida. All of it. We're going somewhere they can never find us." Lucia nods. Doesn't ask questions. Doesn't need to. Because she understands what Maria understands. Freedom isn't a place. It's distance. It's disappearing so completely that no one can ever follow. They leave that night. Two women, mother and daughter, walking west into darkness. In the 1823 Pensacola census, there's an entry for a woman named Mary who works as a cook, living with her one niece, age 20, occupation, seamstress. And in 1825, both women disappear from the record entirely. No death certificates, no estate records, no mention in any subsequent census. They just vanish, like smoke dispersing. Let me tell you what we know for certain and what we don't. Edmund Whitmore died August 14, 1819, in St. Augustine, Spanish Florida. Death certificate lists cause as accidental fire. A slave named Maria appears in Whitmore state records through August 1819. After that, she's listed among property losses due to fire. The original kitchen site was excavated in 2003. They found human remains, male, age 40 to 55, evidence of severe trauma consistent with burns. Also found copper ladle fragments, melted coins, and buried silver pieces dated 1815 to 1818. A letter exists from a Quaker missionary dated April 1822 mentioning a young woman named Lucy at a mobile textile mill. The letter mentions a scar shaped like a teacup. The original Whitmore plantation is long gone. It's a parking lot now. Gray asphalt, painted lines. Nothing to indicate that terrible and extraordinary things happened here. But those buried coins tell a story. Someone buried them deliberately. Not dropped, not lost, buried, like an offering, or evidence hidden, or a memorial. If Maria left those coins behind, her escape fund, her stolen savings, it might have been because she didn't need them anymore, because she found something more valuable than silver. Here's what I want you to think about. Was Maria a murderer? By the legal definition of 1819, absolutely. But the law in 1819 also said Edmund Whitmore owned Maria, that he had the legal right to sell her daughter like livestock. So if the law was evil, if the entire system was built on injustice, does Maria's act of murder become something else? Self-defense? Resistance? Justice? She had no recourse within the system, because the system wasn't designed to give her recourse. It was designed to keep her powerless. So Maria created power where none existed, with sugar and patience and rage refined over 10 years. Maria's story isn't unique. There are others, mostly lost, mostly undocumented, of enslaved people who fought back. They poisoned masters. They burned plantations. They resisted. But the quieter resistances, the individual acts of vengeance, the personal escapes, those stories disappeared. Maria's story survives only in fragments. We'll never know the full truth. And maybe that's appropriate, because Maria didn't want to be remembered. She wanted to be free. Think about the irony. Edmund Whitmore left behind extensive records. A gravestone you can still visit today. His legacy is documented, preserved. Maria left almost nothing, just fragments. Just a mystery of those buried coins and the bones in the kitchen, and a reunion that changed everything. Edmund wanted to be remembered. Maria wanted to vanish. And in vanishing, in becoming untraceable, undocumented, unreachable, she won. Because freedom for her meant leaving no trail, becoming someone else entirely, a ghost that slavery couldn't catch. In St. Augustine's Old Quarter, tour guides tell a ghost story. They say if you stand where the Whitmore kitchen used to be late at night, you can smell burning sugar, sweet and sharp and wrong. And sometimes, very faint, you can hear singing, a woman's voice. No words, just melody. The kind of song that predates slavery, predates paper, predates everything except human breath and human memory. Is it true? Probably not. Ghosts aren't real. But the story is real, and the story matters, because it keeps Maria alive in a way that documents never could. It says, here was a woman who refused to accept that some debts can't be paid. Here was a mother who lost everything and still found a way to fight back. Here was a cook who turned her kitchen, her prison, into a weapon, and found her daughter again on the other side of fire and swamp and impossible distance. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Maria felt guilt for what she did to Edmund? If you could ask her one question, just one, what would it be? And here's the big one. Was Maria a hero, a murderer, or both? Hit that subscribe button, because next week, we're covering another story they never taught you in school. This was Maria's story.